unique challenges are we basically deal with a huge range of diverse suppliers. So from very small farmers who work on sort of pen and paper to very big hotel chains that feed into sort of global distribution systems, etc. And we have to get all that sort of information from those different parties into a single system. So doing that provides sort of quite a lot of challenges because you're dealing with sort of very unsophisticated models, so just pen, paper, etc., up to sort of XML feeds and data feeds, etc. So getting all that information into one system is obviously quite problematic. Also, we deal with lots of different types of businesses, so transport, hotels, activities, and each of those has their own sort of different quirks around their sort of business model, so different sort of pricing structures. Obviously with transport, you've got geolocation information, so how do they actually price things up? We're looking to grow the business in two key ways, really. I suppose the first one is streamlining and efficiency. So using technology to make things a lot more efficient. Hopefully, at the moment, we are quite sort of staff-based. So we've got a kind of a very big sort of sales and sort of admin team running under the hood who kind of make all the small refinements to bookings, etc. So it's using technology to streamline that process and take away a lot of the sort of repetitive sort of admin side. And then the second side is really the sort of growth into sort of new markets. So looking at sort of similar sort of verticals to kind of what we do and then applying sort of the business logic that we've built to those markets. So it could be golf, ski breaks, sports tours, anything around sort of the activity and group-based model that we could actually sort of hopefully move into. From a business side, I think sort of mobiles becoming sort of absolutely key, fundamental to our business. Well, probably most online businesses. There's been a big sort of shift over sort of the last few years where previous to that, mobile phones were just getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and now they're actually getting bigger and bigger. Laptops are getting smaller. So there was about sort of 2-3 years ago this big sort of tablet market, which is now being squeezed in the middle. So as 4G comes in, data connections come in, mobiles are becoming a lot more usable. I mean, they're obviously becoming a lot bigger, so they're kind of becoming sort of the go-to tool really for people to actually sort of interact on the web. What holds us back from technology investment? I think getting skilled people is a real challenge. So we've had a lot of problems with getting sort of the high level skills. So I've actually sort of brought a lot of that back in-house and I'm doing a lot more of that now. Finding skilled developers in London's quite a bit of a challenge. The market rate's phenomenal. So, you know, we've kind of been looking at the offshore model to actually sort of bring down those costs and also probably actually increase the actual skills of the skill base of the developers. When you're a small company like ours, it's quite hard to attract the right talent to a company. A lot of the developers are more interested in their sort of career progression and probably will go to the likes of sort of Microsoft, Google, etc. If they're any good. So we kind of struggle a bit to actually get that right talent. I think one of the key things when looking at any sort of, or trying to invest into those products is actually doing the research. When we have done that before, or we've currently sort of looked at CRMs, etc., it's a really, really big challenge to actually get almost independent advice, probably online, on kind of what are the best systems. There's never really kind of one right choice that fits all. So it's kind of, I think a lot of the time it's a case of doing your own research and really front-loading the research phase over sort of the development phase. We've made mistakes in the past where we probably haven't done as much research as we should have, got a product on board. You get sold the big sales sizzle, and then as you sort of go down the line, you find it's limited, etc., and then you end up chucking it out the window and starting from scratch again. So we've found that sort of quite a big problem, but we've learnt from it. You know, it's basically all about really sort of doing the research up front and nailing that first, and then you'll benefit sort of the long term. So data storage and versus productivity and collaboration, I kind of see those two different sides of the coin, where your security issues and data storage are all about risk aversion, making sure your business is stable and you haven't got some nightmare scenario where you come in one day and kind of all hell's broken loose. Whereas the collaboration and production side, productivity side, it's more about sort of growing the business, and probably the more exciting side, which is that's the kind of area I like to focus on, and leave the sort of data security and storage side to someone else and probably more technical skilled in that area. So the unified product costing model. So this is basically where we've got the challenge of lots of different types of providers, lots of different products. Each provider creates their own sort of mad product offering. So they'll come up with their own sort of ideas on how to sell their sort of product, and we kind of need to sort of try and match that. So how do we do it? Basically, we sit down with a lot of the providers and go through their sort of thought process of how they actually cost things out. So when you often speak to, say, a provider, and you ask them straight out, okay, so how do you actually cost something up? They'll just kind of say, well, I just do it in my head and it all depends. But if you actually sit down with them, they will have a set process, but they probably don't realise it. So it's first understanding those processes and then trying to get them all together and try and find commonality between the processes and map those down to a data model, and then from that sort of build up your input screens, etc., that kind of map to the model, and then hopefully you've nailed down something that's very sort of disseminated and complex into something that's relatively simple.